Good evening, everyone. While we wait for everyone to join us, you'll see a poll on your screen. Please complete the poll in the next few seconds. As people take time in completing the poll, I welcome you all again. My name is Palak and I work as a college guidance counselor with Gen Next Education in Delhi. I also have with me my colleagues today joining us from US, Canada, and India respectively. So welcome aboard Ben, Adi, Chandra, and Bhumi. As some of you may be aware, we are an international education organization based in India and North America. We provide free comprehensive counseling to students and families, helping them to find their right fit university, which means right from the application to pre-departure and beyond. We also support high school students and counselors with a range of services to meet their counseling and global education needs. And I believe we have, a few students already joining us. And as we wait for them to come, just probably explain the objective behind doing such thematic webinars. So through this series, we want to provide opportunities to explore and hopefully better understand popular courses of study by connecting our students with university insiders who will not only talk about various courses, the curriculum, components like research and internships, scholarships and admission process, but also about potential career avenues, something that I believe most of our students are interested in knowing. Today, we are featuring University of Maryland, Baltimore County, a Gen Next Education Partner University. UMBC's Biological Sciences program is one of the most sought after courses, and we are immensely grateful for them to join us today. And they'll be, of course, as I mentioned before, explaining us through the presentation about various components. So I do welcome Ms. Laurie Smith-Watson, Assistant Director for International Admissions, Dr. Padmanabhan, Assistant Professor at the university, and Ms. Nichole Zangto, who's a Program Management Specialist. Thank you all for joining us this evening. As they take us through the presentation, we understand that you might have a number of questions or queries, and we assure you that towards the end of the presentation, we'll be addressing most of those questions and queries. What I would request all our participants right now to notice that at the bottom of their screen, there is going to be a Q&A box. As we are moving through the presentation and various panelists are discussing important components of it with you, type in your questions there and send it across to us. We will be discussing all the questions, queries, doubts, and clarifying them after the presentation is complete. Also, just to make sure that all of us equally gather from information from this webinar, I request you all to keep yourself on mute while the panelists speak. So over to you now, Laurie.
Good morning. My name is Laurie Smith-Watson. I'm from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions and Orientation at UMBC. UMBC is located in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States, right between Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. We've got easy access to all that the region has to offer. Our inclusive culture connects innovative teaching and learning, research across disciplines, and civic engagement, allowing you to find a program that challenges and excites you, combined with a community that supports you. Times Higher Education has recognized UMBC as one of the world's top universities. Many reliable sources consider a UMBC education to be an excellent investment. According to the National Science Foundation, UMBC ranks in the country's top 150 universities in federal research and development expenditures and number 12 in the nation for National Aeronautic and Space Administration funding. In addition, UMBC is one of the most diverse universities in the United States. We have many students in all different kinds of immigration categories, in addition to students holding F1 student visas and students that were born in the US to non-American parents from all over the world. At UMBC, we are proud of our diversity and consider it to be one of our defining values. Students applying to UMBC use the Common Application. Apply by November 1st of your senior year for your best consideration for both admission and for scholarships. There is an automatic review for scholarships. Students from all academic streams are encouraged to apply. I'd like to talk for a moment about careers and opportunities for what we call curricular practical training. We think that's a very important part of the undergraduate education for all students at UMBC, and our international students especially emphasize how important it is to get that practice. So through its particularly flexible CPT policy, UMBC welcomes students from across the disciplines to engage in off-campus work experiences related to their degrees through participation in free career center-driven internship success practicum coursework. Work can be done part-time during the semester and full-time over the summer with the support of your department. The National Association of Student Personnel Administrators International Education Knowledge Community selected UMBC as the recipient of one of the 2019 Best Practices in International Education Awards for Intercultural Awareness and Programming. This award highlights the partnership and work between UMBC's Career Center and the Office of International Education Services to support international students specifically and their career success through innovative programs such as the International Student Career Conference held this year on February 24th. So fortunately, before everything closed. Our international students tell us that UMBC has prepared them through all of the means that you see here. These are paraphrased quotes from our students. And according to our most recent statistics, 89% of our graduating international students engaged with the Career Center at least once during their time at UMBC. 96% of graduating international degree recipients engaged in applied learning, internships, research experiences, etc., during their time at UMBC. On average, the students completed 2 experiences. And so that wraps up our intro.
Okay, so let me take over from here. Can everybody see the slides? Good. Okay, thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Gen Next team, for having us today, and thank you to everyone for joining us. Before I start, I hope you and your loved ones are safe and doing well, and let's all hope that we are through this pandemic soon and we can get back to at least a somewhat normal life very soon, because it's getting annoying sitting inside and staring at people on computers, right? So, so let me start off by introducing myself. I'm Achuth Padmanabhan. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Biological Sciences at UMBC, and I have with me today Ms. Nichole Zhang Do, who's a program management specialist in our department. And Nichole, do you want to say hi? You want to wave your hand? Hello, yeah. And Nichole is also an expert on undergraduate course-related matters. So if you may have a lot of questions later on that Nichole would probably able to address. So what we hope to do today is actually give you an overview of our department and the programs we offer. We're going to tell you what are the opportunities you will have as an undergrad in the biological sciences department at UMBC. We'll tell you the options you'll have once you graduate from our program. We're going to tell you a little bit about our teaching philosophy and how much we care about our students and what we do about it. And in all, we want to give you a taste of what it feels like to be with us, and tell you a little bit about what makes us different from all the other biology departments across the country, what makes us really special. So let's get started. So we are one of the largest department on our campus. So currently we have over 2,000 students who are majoring in the different programs that we offer. And we also have around 44 faculty members who teach the different courses we offer through the different programs. And this includes 28 tenure track faculty, which means they also run an active research program. We also have 10 teaching faculty and 6 affiliate and adjunct faculty. And all these faculty members, including myself, are greatly helped by a large number of graduate and undergraduate teaching assistants. In fact, we are big enough to occupy 2 large buildings on campus, and there are very few departments which can claim to do so. One is a biological sciences building that you see on your right top side, which is our home. And we also have a lot of us in the new interdisciplinary life science building, which was thrown open last year, myself included. So both of these are state-of-the-art buildings which offer modern teaching and research labs. There is a lot, there are seminar rooms, conference halls, classrooms, and also meeting spaces where you can hang out, talk to each other, study, discuss about your projects, and so on. So we offer 5 programs in our department that either leads to a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. And I'll tell you what is the difference between these 2 programs in a moment. In addition to those, we offer 3 minor programs for students who are graduating in other fields. All this is in addition to our research, the research we do, and also the 3 master's and 4 PhD programs that's offered to our department. So what are the 5 undergraduate programs that we offer? So we offer a BA and BS in biological sciences, a BS in biochemistry and molecular biology, a BA in biology education, and bioinformatics and computational biology. So, and the number of students that are currently in each of these programs are shown in blue. It's an approximate number, but it gives you an idea how big the class is for each program. In addition to this, we have 3 minor programs as shown here. And in fact, you can get a checklist of all the major requirements for each of these programs on our website, on the link that is provided here. So in fact, our website is a pretty useful resource, and Nichole does a great job in trying to keeping it up to date. So please take time and go through the resources that's available over there. So what are the differences between a BA and BS? So why would you take a BA versus a BS or vice versa? So we understand that different students have different career priorities. Some may want to go to a health profession, such as one may want to do a pre-med, or one may want to go to dental school, whereas some of you may be interested in a more research-intensive career. We recognize this. So we decided that, if you're going into a particular program, then you would need having a different kind of education would prepare you better. And this is exactly what these 2 different programs do. The BA is intended for students preparing for a health profession program. And this could be medical school, nursing school, or if you want to become a physician assistant. This is also suitable if you just are deciding a general biology degree and you want to wait and see what you want to do later. Whereas the BS is intended for a more research intensive career. Let's say you want to do a PhD, or you want to get into a research lab or work for a biotech company on the research side, then you may want to consider our BS programs. So what are the differences? As you can see, the BS program requires more credits, right? So you have to take more electives and more labs within our department. And the BA program gives you more flexibility with respect to that. You can take if you want, but if you want to do other things, it frees up some time. And this is important because a lot of medical school would want you to have a minor or a second major. And we recognize that, okay? And what is really nice about our programs is both BA or BS or any of the tracks you choose, we have the same set of core courses. So let's say you come in with the intention of doing a BS, and 2 years later, you decide you're more interested in research and you think a BS would be a better option for you, then you can always shift. So there is flexibility in our course, the way our courses are designed. And we always recommend that when, if you are in doubt, you should talk to one of our faculty advisors and see what is best for you career-wise. Okay, so why am I? All right, learning and pedagogy. So this is something that we take really, really seriously at UMBC. And it is reflected in our rankings nationwide. So UMBC is currently ranked number 12 in the nation in undergraduate teaching, apart from being ranked as the 9th most innovative school in the country. Now, our department is no different. We take it seriously and we implement a lot of different strategies so that the students get the best out of their education here. So what do we do? So I'll list a few of it because I don't really have the time to go over each and everything we do in detail. So let's start with coursework. So we offer a comprehensive set of core courses that we think would prepare you well for your career going forward. And we also want to give you the flexibility of choosing courses that interest you. So we follow up the core courses with a wide array of exciting electives. And I'll go in detail because this is an important point. And we also are redefining how classes are taught. So there's a big push on campus and in our department about changing how classes were taught. We all are familiar about how a professor gets in front of the class and lectures the class about the material that he's going to cover. Okay, and there is a lot of data that shows that this is not really the best way to teach. So, and that students learn more when they do things, when they participate in the teaching process. And this is called active learning classrooms. And a lot of our classes in the department are switching over to a more active learning style. And this includes having discussion groups, having seminars, making students present work, reading latest literature from the field that they're covering, discussing them, and even flipping the classroom where the students become teachers. And this innovation in teaching is not limited to lectures. In fact, we are taking it into our labs. And as I will tell you in a moment, we are focusing on a more discovery, hands-on laboratory approach. And in addition to that, we also open up our research labs to our undergraduates. And in fact, as a faculty member on campus, I can tell you that I currently have 10 undergraduate students doing really great work in my lab. And as I told you earlier, we take this really seriously. And we get really excited when we see something new. And in fact, there's a faculty group in our department that meet every week to discuss new learning techniques, new papers that come out in pedagogy, and see how we can apply to our classrooms and how the students are reacting to it. So we are actively improving on these methods. And which is why we are consistently ranked high. And I just want to give you a perspective. When I say number 12, where do we really stand? So think about some of the other universities you may have heard. University of Michigan at Ann Arbor, they are number 13, okay? Stanford and Yale, pretty famous names, right? 14. CMU is 29, MIT and Caltech is 30, and Harvard is at 34. So we are in pretty good shape if you're in this regard. Okay, so let's go into some of these bullet points that I showed you earlier. Core courses. As I told you, this is something that we mandate for all students, irrespective of whether you are a BA or doing a BA or BS degree or whatever track you're following, because we think this covers the fundamental aspects of biology. So what we have here is 2 semesters of foundation courses in biology, okay? And that prepares you towards a course in genetics and molecular biology. We then top it off with a course in cell biology. And once you do that, as I'll show in a minute, you have a lot of different choices of courses to choose from, okay? And we also mandate experimental biology lab that is important if you want to take other lab courses on campus. So what are some of the electives? A lot of them. In fact, right now, the count is 28 and we're constantly adding. And that is because we understand that each of you have a different interest. For instance, some of you may want to do developmental biology, or some of you may end up liking me a lot and may want to do development and cancer with me, right? And then some of you may want to be microbiologists or computational biologists. So we cover pretty much every aspect of biology really well. And this is one of the advantages of having an active research program. So each faculty has a different interest and different expertise. So we all constantly think about what can we actually take it to the teaching side from our expertise. and translate it to something that is absorbable at an undergraduate level. So we have a lot of different electives to choose from, but you have to be done with your courses to get here. Labs. I told you we are moving away from the traditional or conventional way in which a lab course was being administered. And there's nothing wrong with it, to tell you honest. People did well. I learned the traditional way, and I think I'm doing fine. But we think there's a better way that it can be done. And I have to give credit to my colleagues, Steve Caruso, who really spearheaded this project. So we have something called, I'll give you one example, and a lot of our labs are moving in this direction, okay? So something called the UMBC Phage Hunters program, where students go out, collect samples, and try to isolate bacteriophages from these samples. And while doing this, they go through all basic techniques that you would normally learn in a molecular biology and genetics lab, right? So they're doing the lab, but they're actually going through a discovery process. And it doesn't stop there. Now, what if some of the bacteriophage they identified is totally new, something that the world has never seen? So they take pictures of that on an electron microscope. They sequence its genome, compare it with every other bacteriophage that's been found on Earth. And if it's new, they go ahead and submit it to databases such as GenBank, and they become co-authors on these publications. So they're doing a lab course, and the end result is they learn everything, enjoy the excitement of being at the forefront of discovery, and end up being co-authors of scientific publication as an undergrad. Compare this to another institution where they do a routine laboratory course, right? You're maximizing your effort and learning more and making it fun. And this program has been immensely successful. And so far, we have had 41 publications which had undergraduate co-authors. And in fact, we have identified around 500 new phages, and 63 of them have been sequenced. So, and again, we are a research intensive department, in a university with very high research activity. And 28 of our faculty run active research labs. And we encourage undergraduates to come work with us. So, because we are such a diverse department, we all have different research programs that span the different areas of biology. For instance, I work in cancer biology, and some of my colleagues are neuroscientists. Then we have people working on genetics, evolution, computational biology, animal behavior, and so on. So depending on what is the flavor you enjoy, what you want to do, you can approach any of us. And we try to actually take in as many undergrads as possible because we know the value of introducing students early into research. And UMBC and the department go further to support this. In fact, undergraduates can apply for research funding. There's a program called Undergraduate Research Awards that's where undergraduates competitively pitch their project, write scientific proposals, and apply for funding to bring in money to pursue the research they want to do. And I've been spending last 2 weeks talking to undergraduates in my lab over Zoom about their application because the current deadline is May 15th. So hopefully we get some of this. And a lot of undergrads in the labs end up being co-author on publications because we give them we try to give them something independent so that they get a feel of doing real research. And we also encourage them to attend and present at local and national conferences. And in fact, UMBC itself has a campus-wide undergraduate conference called ERCAT that just got over 2 weeks back. Despite all the pandemic, it was a success. They did a great job moving it online. Students presented the poster. We could go comment and interact with the students real time and even later on. So it was a huge success. More than 300 students, in fact, presented at ERCAT this year. So let's say you're working in a lab, you get really interested, you're spending considerable amount of time in the lab. You're learning during this process, and we want to recognize that, and we want to encourage it. So what we do in our department is we actually allow you to count your research in lab towards credits that's required for you to graduate, right? So while you're working in the lab, you're actually accumulating credits that will take you towards graduation. And by working in research labs, you also tick one of the boxes that is required to graduate with the Department of Honors program. And we can talk about the honors program. Nichole can go over it, maybe if you have questions about it during the Q&A session. And our commitment towards undergraduate research is well known in the country, and it's well appreciated both at the state and federal level. And in fact, a number of our undergraduate program, there are research programs that are federally funded. Again, if you go to this particular link on a website, it's pretty easy to figure out once you're on a departmental website. You'll have more information on undergraduate research. Okay, so we are a great place. We have a lot of active research labs in the biomedical space, but what are your options as far as internships if you want to go out other labs? Or what are your options once you graduate if you want a job in the biomedical area? So that's where location really comes in, and Laurie spoke about it during her presentation too. We are in probably the best part of the country as far as biomedical jobs go. The Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area is a biomedical hub. And in fact, there are 3 really big biomedical research institutions within 50 kilometers. The University of Maryland Medical Center, Johns Hopkins University, and the National Institutes of Health. And a number of our undergrads, in fact, go to these places for internships or take up jobs at these places once they graduate. So in addition to these institutions, we also have a large density of biotech and pharmaceutical companies in the Baltimore, D.C. area. So you don't have to go too far searching for jobs once you graduate with us. And proximity really helps in a lot of places. So what type of career paths do our graduates choose? So it's a broad spread. And we are sometimes surprised by where they end up. And I think a lot goes into how we train them and what courses they can take on campus. So of course, we have a lot of them going into the biotech sector. Many of our students go to graduate medical, dental, nursing school. Some go into science policy, scientific communication, or public health. Some like to teach, so they go into education. Some end up being lawyers. And what really came up was, the surprise us is a lot of them, some of them actually end up being financial analysts. And was puzzling, but if you look back, we, in our curriculum, we actually want you to take some mathematics and stat courses. So if you have some interest in financial, other areas, those are also still open if you take a degree with us. We understand that, taste and career goals would evolve as you grow. So I was told that it'll be nice for us to show some of our alumni, and that's, who've done well. And that's always, we get excited when we have to do this, but it also presents a very tough challenge because you have to handpick a few from the so many you can think of, right? And because we want to talk about everybody who's done well. So, anyway, I went ahead and tried my best. So what I thought is I would give you one person from each decade, starting from the 90s. And I think it's a good mix that represents where our undergrads stand in the community. So this person is really famous, and you may have seen him on TV many times. He's the topmost doctor in the country. The current US Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, was a graduate from a program in biochemistry and molecular biology in 1997. He was fully funded during his time here. He's currently, leading the coronavirus response, and he appears on press conferences with the president every so often. So again, staying true to the theme that we are all going through now, COVID-19, Kizzmekia Corbett, who graduated in 2008 from biological sciences, is currently leading the COVID-19 vaccine development in the US. So she is the federal person, the federal government put in charge of developing vaccine against COVID-19. She works at the Vaccine Research Center of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institutes of Health. We are really proud of these people because I think they're real superheroes. Someone who recently graduated. So I chose Linda Wiratan, who graduated in 2019 from our biochemistry and molecular biology program. She was an exceptional student. She worked with Dr. Hua Lu in our department on plant immunity. She was a valedictorian. She was a Rhodes Scholar finalist and a Goldwater Scholar. Talk about a CV. And she's currently a graduate student in the molecular and cellular biology program at the Harvard Medical School. So it brings me to some of the honors that some of our department undergrads earn, and it makes us really proud. For example, Linda was a Goldwater Scholar, and this year at UMBC we have 3 Goldwater Scholars of the total 396 awards that were given. And again, I like doing this, putting things into perspective, because if you take Columbia, and I don't want to get it wrong, so let me look at this. Okay, Columbia, Stanford, Yale, MIT, Hopkins, big names. They all had 3. And what we're even more proud of is that 2 of them were from our department, which is the same number of Goldwater Scholars that were there in 2020 from Princeton, the #1 ranked university in the country. Okay, so we're really proud of Dominic Brooks and Olumide for bringing these honors back to campus. So to summarize, let me highlight some of the key points that I talked about today. So why would you want to join us? We have outstanding infrastructure, comparable to any in the country. We have faculty members who are not just accomplished, but who care about you. We like seeing you succeed. And that's reflected in our strong commitment to undergraduate teaching over the years. We are currently ranked number 12. And we've been consistently a top-ranked college, national university in this area, and we were in the top 5 for many, many years. In the biological sciences department, we offer a well-structured program that's actually priming you for success. But at the same time, we are flexible. We understand that your interests evolve, and we want you to be able to change your tracks or program later on if you wish to. Overall, we provide an excellent opportunity to learn that we think will propel your career forward. And again, it doesn't hurt to be close to other world-class research organizations because we learn and grow with each other. So again, thank you very much for joining us today. And I hope you all stay well. And I hope that we'll see some of you on our campus pretty soon. And I'll be here to take any questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists, for the evening. I think this was a very, very insightful session for most of our participants. And I think even for us who are working with, high school counselors and students day in and day out, and some of the information that Dr. Padmanabhan shared with us is so handy while we discuss and meet with parents and students who are looking to develop a career in the field of biological sciences. Just before we get on to and begin with our Q&A session, I think students, you'll be noticing a poll on your screen. Please complete that poll as well. Yes, it should be here. Yeah, take a second or so to complete it. And yeah, right before we move on to taking, opening the floor to getting all the questions, addressing all your queries, all your doubts, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of Gen Next Education to thank all the panelists from University of Maryland, Baltimore County. This was one of the most insightful sessions that we've had. And, I can't wait to see the kind of questions the students have for you. And hopefully some of these students will further get in touch with us and we can then connect them to you. So we'll now begin with the Q&A session. Yeah. All right. Our first question is from Yash Shah. Hi, Yash. So Yash's question is, I'm already pursuing my undergraduate studies in the field of life sciences. I want some information related to masters in bioinformatics and biotechnology. It would be really helpful if you could guide me in that direction.
I can take this one, if that's okay, guys.
Yeah.
So again, my name's Nichole, and I'm the undergrad coordinator in the biology department at UMBC. So our focus is my focus is undergraduates, but I can let you know we do have several PhD and master's programs at UMBC. Our master's program in biological sciences does include bioinformatics topics that you can pursue. There's information on our website, and I'll work with our partners at GenNext. I'm not sure how you would like to send links through this. But if you go to our website, biology.umbc.edu, there's a tab for graduate students. If you click on that, you can see all of our graduate information. Our graduate school also has information on their website. And we can also make sure you get the contact information for our graduate program coordinator who helps answer questions for prospective graduate students.
Just to add on to what Nichole said, so you can come through our regular master's program in biological sciences, but you can choose to work with any of the 28 faculty members who have a research program going, and that includes faculty members who specialize in bioinformatics. So and you can get in touch with them, see if they're looking for a master's student. Most times we like to work with students. So, but yeah, I mean, there should be, if Nichole can send them information, that would be great.
Thank you. I hope that addresses your question, Yash. We'll be sharing, with everybody the recording of the session also in the next couple of days. So all the participants will be receiving that, and also the information of, the contact information of the panelists. So I hope that's also handy and helpful for you. Our next question is, I believe, Laurie, you can address this. The student is interested in knowing what is the acceptance rate at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and how many international students are accepted each year?
I would love to take that. And I noticed that, there were some questions about acceptance rate and about the acceptance rate of international students. Mm-hmm. So let me start there, and let me be really specific too, and share with you that our acceptance rate for students who have applied for this coming fall as undergraduate students from India is 93%. So we are getting some outstanding candidates for admission. Overall, UMBC's admission rate is about 65%. We are competitive. We are not highly selected, where there's only a 10% chance you would be offered admission. We do welcome applications from students from any of the academic streams. We want you to have worked hard, to have prepared hard, to be competitive. And we find, generally speaking, sometimes these percentages and acceptance rates make you think, oh yeah, I'm in, or oh my God, I don't know if I'll get in. So let me just be really straightforward with you and say that if you are scoring in your national exams, if you are anywhere in the vicinity of the 80% range, then I'm going to have the honor of sending you an admission letter, and you're going to be very competitive for academic scholarships. If you're coming from an IB school and you're looking at anywhere in a 30 range, then absolutely, and I mean approaching and beyond, certainly, then you're competitive for admission and scholarships, and those aren't cutoffs. So my best advice to you is apply. We are still accepting applications for fall 2020. For best consideration, it's always best to apply earlier in the stream for funding as well.
Thank you, Laurie. As we move on, there are a number of questions that we have from the students. And the next question is, what exams are we required to take to qualify for admission into the university? Now, I think here the student is not really specifying if they mean any admission requirements, like particularly those examinations. But if anybody or anyone of you want to throw light on this and talk about it.
Sure. One of the questions I get most often is, do I have to submit an SAT? And for UMBC, the answer is no, you do not. Students who do their secondary education outside of the United States are not required to submit an SAT. It can make you more competitive for academic scholarships. So if you've done SAT, absolutely, definitely get those scores to us. We do want your required examinations, the same examinations that you're going to take to apply to colleges in India are what we're going to review along with your high school transcripts to make that decision regarding admissibility. I should also mention here that for India and Indian students, we make the decision about English proficiency requirements on case-by-case basis. So if you have taken a TOEFL, an IELTS, a Duolingo English proficiency, please submit that. Otherwise, submit all of your transcripts, the examination results that you have thus far, and we will let you know if we need additional materials.
Thank you. Another very common question that we generally get asked, and I'm glad a student asked here, is do they need to have mathematics in class 11th and 12th to seek admission for the biological sciences program?
So the answer is it all depends. If we do not see it in your records, that does not mean that you would not be offered admission and that you would not be able to pursue biological sciences, but we do want you to be keeping up with your math skills. So we know in your 9th and 10th that you had math and that you studied probably into pre-calculus, maybe calculus level. And for success, I think my colleagues can back me up on this. In biology, you have to have some basic mathematical ability. So if you've not studied math in 11th and 12th, that does not preclude you from being admitted to study biological sciences at UMBC. But we also don't want you to have just taken a 2.5-year vacation from math.
If I could follow with what Lori said, a lot of our introductory chemistry and biology courses do require math as a prereq, or at least having certain experience in math. So not having a gap between the last time you took a math class and the time you start a science course here at UMBC, you be at a bigger benefit if you do not have that gap, because we want to make sure you have the strong foundations to succeed moving on. But all students will work with you to make sure that you are where you need to be.
Thank you, Nichole and Lori. This is a very interesting question, which is, can we take a liberal arts subject as a minor?
I'll take this one again. Strongly encouraged. Students who are, especially if you're thinking maybe something in the health profession, so if you're thinking of going to a medical school in the US, we have an exam called the MCAT. Students who study a liberal arts minor on top of their science degree tend to get into medical school at a higher rate than students that do not. The liberal arts minors help give you communication skills, reading skills, and or analytical skills that you don't always get with your bio courses. But it helps expand those skills that you already have. And the benefits of being a liberal arts school like UMBC is you do have a lot of choices to choose from. And all of them can help kind of shape where you end up after graduation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there any research opportunity for BA biology? I think the student is trying to ask if research opportunities are available for international students undertaking a Bachelor in Arts Biology Sciences program. I believe Dr. Padmanabhan had already addressed this, but sir, if you would like to go over this again.
Yeah, sure. So once you are here, so the way students end up working in the lab is once they are on campus, they start taking courses. They get familiar with what labs on campus are working on what topics. They reach out to different professors, and we meet with them, see if we, be a good fit, and and if we decide that's the right way to go forward, then we take the student in the lab, start training them, and then slowly ease them into a project that they can handle themselves. So of course, if you're a BA, BS, whatever track you're doing, we look at everybody the same way. So you can definitely come in, reach out to the person you want to work with, and see what opportunities are there.
Wonderful. The question related to this is also, what kind of career roles can I do during internship for biology? Again, I think the students trying to really understand the different kind of avenues available to them while applying for internships, and what kind of internships can they undertake as an international student.
I'll take this one again. So here in the Department of Biological Sciences, we do have an internship coordinator with our department, and we work very closely with our Career Center. So if students know they want to do an internship, so whether it's research oriented, whether it's they just want experience maybe working in policy, maybe they want experience doing lab work, whatever the internship focus is, our internship coordinator will work with the student to go into and meet with the Career Center to make sure that they're finding a place that they want. Internships can be anywhere. We mentioned a few at Johns Hopkins, the National Institute of Health. Again, this area is a huge area for biotech, so we have a lot of students doing internships there. Also, our pre-health students for getting contact hours to go to physical therapy school have to get those in, so that can kind of be a part of it as well. So once you're here, it's really kind of one of those situations where you can go anywhere, and we'll try and work with you to make sure that you get there and you have the requirements to go wherever you want to do an internship.
Wonderful. All right. We have a couple of questions which are related to admission requirements specifically. There's a question from Malvika. She's asking, what exams do students from India need to give for admissions in biological sciences undergrad? I'm currently in 9th grade. How should I plan for the admission process? We have someone who's really keen and curious to understand the process.
That's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad to hear that you're planning ahead. That is the best way to go if possible. So certainly doing as much science and math as you can throughout your high school studies is going to encourage your interest and give you additional foundation and training. So that is vital. That's very important. And you can do that co-curricularly as well if you have some opportunities to do that. We do appreciate that. It wouldn't be that you would absolutely have to be following that track. You could still prepare and come in and study biological sciences. Any student who is offered admission to UMBC is allowed to begin studies in biological sciences. As with all of our majors, you have to do well. You have to succeed in the courses in order to continue on through the core courses and on to the higher level elective courses. I would certainly recommend that you work closely with the Gen Next advisors because they can help you as well.
All right, moving on. There's a student who's interested in asking if the assessments are more project-based or reading or writing intensive.
I can do a bit of that, and then maybe, yeah. So I think it totally depends on the class you take and the person who's teaching the class, right? So there are, we do have exams. Some of the, upper level courses would be more reading and writing based. So it's totally dependent on the particular class and who's teaching that class that semester, right? So there is no hard and fast rule that it has to be these many exams but usually lower level courses would have midterms and finals it's less project-based at that stage. But as you go through your program, it becomes more reading, writing, analyzing, as much as it's assimilating information.
And in Dr. Padmanabhan's presentation, he also mentioned our innovation in teaching, those active learning classrooms. So you're going to see a lot of your project-based grading and work that's required in those, if you do have those as part of your lower level classes. It's going to be working through those group problems together, that teamwork that's going to be very important both in school and later on after you graduate. When you do, and we also mentioned our lab work, our experimental lab work, our hands-on lab work. So you're going to start seeing those as you get farther along in your course career as well. Your multiple choice kind of exams, they're going to be spread throughout, but definitely once you get into your upper level classes, your final senior year, that's really when you start kind of getting into what is biology and how do people study biology. So you get a lot more research paper reading, understanding what it is, writing about it, reflecting on what other people have done in their research, writing your own research reports. So you have, throughout your UMBC career, you're going to have a mix of different assignments that are going to be part of your classes.
Thank you. All right, Laurie, maybe you can help address this. Can a student be applicable for more than one scholarship? Maybe, while addressing this, if you could explain us about the scholarships, how would they work for international students? It'll be a great help, I think.
Excellent. So at the time that a student is offered admission, which would be beginning in the winter, December time of your 12th year, is when we begin to let students know that we would like for them to join us for the following fall. The students are going to automatically be considered for academic scholarships based upon all of the materials that you have sent to us with your admissions application. And the student would very potentially be offered a UMBC scholarship. As an incoming first-year student, you are only allowed to bring in one UMBC scholarship. We do have a number of scholarships that we call scholars programs, and we can share the link and answer specific questions through email about our scholars program opportunities. But when you're coming in your first year, you must select only one UMBC scholarship. Now, as you're moving through your study, there are other scholarships that we would invite you to apply for. In addition to things like funding for your undergraduate research, there are scholarships that are offered by our alumni, by our academic departments that have other specifics for which you might qualify, especially once you have established yourself as a UMBC student. If you've come in and in your first year of study earned predominantly A's in your classes and begun to get involved in research, etc., then we would really encourage you to apply for additional funding through scholarships. And there are staff people who can help you with that process.
Perfect. I hope this addresses your question. All right, so if I take genetics courses and later I want to shift to neurosciences, is that possible?
Yes. So our courses at UMBC, so biological sciences is a broad term. It includes any sort of biology. So whether that's your or that's your developmental bio, your neuroscience, your genetics. All students are required to take a genetics course, but it's really, once you get into those upper level electives, we want you to take what you are interested in. If you're not interested in animal behavior, don't take it. It's really, so your undergrad career is really a way for you to make the most of it. Take what you're interested in, pursue what you want to do. So if at any point halfway through your or undergraduate career, you start really looking at genetics and you realize, nah, that's not really for me. And you want to switch to a different area of bio. Every student is given a faculty advisor to work with, and that faculty advisor will work with you to make sure that the classes that you're going to sign up for are what you want to do. And all 5 of our bio majors that we went over, again, those first 2 years, they're very similar to each other, so switching between them at any point is very easy to do. Even switching, or sometimes switching majors outside of the department can be, because we understand that students do change their mind once they start taking classes. And we have faculty and staff on campus to help you with that transition and make sure you find those classes you're interested in.
Great. All right. We have a question from Malvika, and also some of the other students have also asked a similar question. If you can provide an overview on the tuition fee for undergrad students and how, the kind of scholarships which are available for the student. I think we've already spoken about the requirements to meet these scholarships, but just to understand the overall cost of attendance and how much would the entire fee structure look like.
Certainly. So an undergraduate student, an international student who's an undergraduate student at UMBC is going to pay about $42,000 US per year for the tuition, all the mandatory fees, and the room and board on campus. So everything all together. About 4,000 students live on campus at UMBC in our residence halls and our on-campus apartments. And so the full cost of everything altogether is about $42,000. Our scholarships are going to range in amount from $12,000 per year for 4 years to $22,000 per year for 4 years.
Also, in relation to the cost of attendance, there are a number of questions that we have about, if there are dorm room facilities available on campus, or is a student required to stay on campus when they get a scholarship? So if you can provide an overview on how the accommodation side of things work. Yeah.
A couple of the scholars programs do require students to live on campus in a cohort experience. And there are many opportunities for students who are wanting to live on campus to participate in our living learning communities. We have, for instance, a STEM, a science, technology, engineering, and math focused living learning community of about 50 students who live together in the residence hall, who have similar interests academically in what they want to do. The way that the residence halls are set up, you would share a room with one roommate. And within that room, of course, you've both got your beds and wardrobe for your clothes, and there's a sink, your desks, of course, and then you would share a connecting bathroom with the shower and toilet with the 2 students who live next door. So that's how the residence halls are set up. We do not require students to live on campus, with the exception of the 1 or 2 separate scholars programs. We find quite a number of our international students might have family or close friends of family who live in the Baltimore, Washington metropolitan area, and they might live with them for their first year, or find some other accommodations near to our campus. UMBC is in a suburban area, so there is a lot of housing near to the campus, and there is a campus transit shuttle bus that is free for UMBC students and staff and faculty. And so we can help students with finding off-campus accommodation as well as with housing them on campus.
Great. Laurie, I have a question related to this. A lot of times when we are advising students and their parents, we generally do get asked, and it is mandatory for international students to stay on campus in their first year. So does UMBC have a separate rule other than this, or because since you mentioned that it's not really required?
Right, That's a really, really good question, because each college
Mm-hmm.
has different rules. Sometimes you have to live on campus in first year and you can't live on campus in third or fourth year. It is really up to the student and the family, whether you live on campus any of your years. And we can assist you with whichever you choose and help you to make the decision, giving you the pros and cons. Let me put this out there right away, especially since we have some younger students and families. Students who live on campus get better grades. Just gonna put that out there. There are fewer distractions. It's a whole lot easier to get together with your study groups any time of the day or night. So that can be a really positive investment. I saw another question in the chat regarding, so if I live off campus, will I save a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
You could potentially save some money living off campus. The tuition and fees without the room and board is closer to about $30,000 US per year. But there are some additional helps and services and support that come in when students are living on campus. So those are things to consider. It's not a decision you need to make immediately. We can help you with that.
Great. I hope that addresses the questions of a couple of students. We also have a question which says, if I want to pursue a dental career, what courses would be best for me?
I'll take this one. So here at UMBC, we do have a pre-med, pre-dental office or advising office. So pre-med, pre-dental, pre-veterinary, optometry, all of those are pre-medicine programs. We don't necessarily have a track for students, so it's not like a major. So you don't come in majoring in dental prerequisite courses. But we do give you a list of recommended courses. Those recommended courses, what you're going to see is they're going to be very, very similar to a bio BA or BS degree. So a lot of students, maybe they're majoring in psychology, but doing the dental school prereqs, and then they'll look at the courses that they've taken and realize, oh, I'm 2 classes away from a bio BA degree. So they'll add it on as a second major. So again, there is a checklist of courses that students take. It's your intro bio courses, genetics, cell biology, your lab courses that you take, your intro chemistry, your organic chemistry, courses like that. Also, our dental school requires you to take English, or kind of like an English composition course, as well as a few kind of social science courses as well. Because there is a medical school standard exam that all students take, and those topics show up on that exam. So again, once you're here at UMBC, you'll be working not only with whatever major you decide with, but also that pre-med, pre-dental advisor who will help make sure that you're checking the boxes for dental school requirements. So that way you can, and they help you with the admissions process. When it comes time to submit those letters of recommendation, your application, all of that. So again, there's not really a major for dental school, but we do have a list of recommended courses, and it is basically, for the most part, the bio BA and BS degrees.
Great. All right, we're a little over an hour, but we have a few more questions to address. I hope that's all right with everyone. Okay. How about the English proficiency test? Does the university require it as a part of their admission requirement? And also, if it's an IB student, do they need to fulfill the criteria of having either an IELTS or a TOEFL score?
No, the TOEFL is not required. We are going to look at the other materials within the application, all of the transcripts and examinations, and especially in the case when a student is in an IB school, we're going to use the results there in order to demonstrate that. Once again, while we don't require an SAT, that can be helpful to make a student more competitive for better scholarships. So I would encourage that. For any of you who are 11th graders, as we move through next year and fall 2021, we'll need to keep in touch because some of those measures that we use may not be deployed in quite the same way because there has not been an SAT in the last few months. There won't be an SAT offered until here in the States, the earliest possible is August. So don't worry about that. You're in the same situation as all of the other 11th graders, and we understand that. One of the things I like to remind students and families is that we're about admission. We're not about keeping you out. We're about bringing you in.
The students and parents will be happy to hear this, Laurie. Yeah. Also, keeping in mind this, a lot of our students end up studying biology at their HL and SL levels. So do the university offer certain college credits to students who have, SL and HL subjects? And if they do, what is the basic requirement and what kind of scores is the university looking at?
Nichole, do you have familiarity? I have some familiarity with the IB scores.
Or their IB?
Yeah,
So we do accept a certain level of IB scores. I don't remember off the top
of my head, I'm thinking it's 6 and 7.
That sounds.
So here's the thing, students. Here's the thing. If you want to study biological sciences, you love biology. And what we really want you to do, I'm going to be honest with you, is take that amazing IB class that you had, and even if your score result is a 7, the best it can be, bring that into our first biology class and take all of our biology classes, because it's going to be a great foundation. You're going to do really well and set yourself off with keeping your scholarship and getting more scholarships. Use that as preparation, not to skip. I promise you this is going to benefit you in the long run. Oftentimes with IB scores and using those for credits, students think, hey, I could get out in like 2 years, man, or something. Don't do that. Don't do that. We've got other ways to make sure you are getting through your program in the most efficient, effective, best prepared, cost-effective way.
Mm-hmm.
Now that said, if you've got some IB results in history, oh yeah, use those to skip some history classes.
And retaking those classes that you've already taken IB exams in, it'll be a great review for once you get into those upper level classes anyway. So if it is an option for you, again, once you come into UMBC, you'll have an advisor that'll help kind of you weigh the options. But sometimes it's encouraged. If you are thinking health professions in any way, some certain health professions will require you to take those introductory schools at the college level. I believe dental school is one of them, that intro bio and intro chemistry has to be taken at the college level. You cannot use advanced placement or IB scores.
Okay. A lot of the students end up actually taking APs right after, if they're coming from a CBSE or an ISC board, and they have that window available between, their board exam, while they're waiting for their board exam results to come and landing onto the campus in fall. So again, going back to the same question, I'm glad you clarified that, Nichole, that, APs might not really be, would work for some of the programs. But they do, I believe, if the students are taking SAT subject tests in biology, will that help in any which way to elevate their scholarships?
No, because we don't require the subject tests. So, we can make you look even more impressive. It might be another feather in your cap for consideration for scholars programs, but across the board in the general merit scholarships, since we don't require that of all the applicants, then it doesn't help as much. Let me say one more thing about the APs as well. So you're a really, really smart, overachieving student. Take the AP English. Take either, modern world history or some of those social science, arts and humanities type APs. especially if you have an interest, maybe some another liberal arts area that you're thinking about a minor, because that can buy you back a little bit more time too.
And I will add, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting someone, AP exams and IB exams, they're great experience. So if you do have the opportunity to take those classes and take those exams, they're great experience for what you are going to expect at the college level. So I would encourage it. So don't say that certain classes, they're not recommended, or by us saying that, are at the college level, but again, they are great experience, and that's the best thing to going into college.
So it's always encouraged.
Yes.
And Pollock, before we move on to the next question, I want to be cognizant of time, because I know Nichole and I can stay for as long as you have questions, but Dr. Padmanabhan has another appointment.
7 minutes, yeah. So I can stay for another 7 minutes. So if there's anything that I can help, that's enough.
We'll try our best to wind up in 7 minutes.
Thank you.
All right. The next question is, what is the minimum GPA to get into UMBC?
I want to say a 3.0. As we look at examination results, grades, etc., and look at converting those to a 4-point scale. So 80 and with some examination results, actually a 70 is going to equal closer to a 3.0. So it absolutely is a case-by-case basis, looking at all the different factors in the application. So I need to really look at a student's records completely to determine, but I also commend all of you for spending your Saturday evening, for checking this out ahead of time, many of you, and preparing for the future. My guess is that you're really good students, and that we would strongly encourage you to apply. But we're not going to fib and tell you UMBC is an easy school. You could be an incredibly high achieving student, and we're going to challenge you. You're going to graduate and say, I was challenged. I was well prepared. I was challenged. And so think equivalent of a US 3.0, 80 really for best chances for admission.
All right. I think Sudipti has a question, which is, what are the exams and steps I need to follow in order to study in UMBC? I'm currently in 11th grade in India. So Sudipti, I think we've addressed this question a number of times in terms of the different admission requirements needed by the university. And what best you can do is, why don't you connect with Gen Next advisors offline, and we will provide you with the required details and assign you a counselor who can take you through a step-by-step guidance process. Before I move on to the last question, I have a WhatsApp sent to me by a student of mine who couldn't attend the event today. He has physics, chemistry, biology, and psychology in his 11th grade right now. He'll be moving to 12th, and he is keen on studying biological sciences. While doing our research, we realized, and I think we've spoken about it previously as well, that math was needed as a requirement for a lot of courses. The student wishes to know that if he takes SAT math component and SAT math level 2, will that be all right to show his proficiency in math?
What's going to happen is that we're going to require the student to do a UMBC mathematics placement test. Okay. Now, quite honestly, SAT is a good thing. And we're going to be excited if there's a math score above a 600, but that's not a game stopper either. My best advice is certainly continue to use the maths that you need in science, but also do some supplementary study on the side, because when you take the math placement test at UMBC, we're going to need for you to test into Calculus 1 in order to be in the best possible shape. And you can look at what that math placement test looks like right now. Go to umbc.edu and in the search bar, math placement test. And there are sample questions. You might look at those and say, oh yeah, absolutely. I remember my algebra. I remember the pre-calculus. This is fine.
I can also help by mentioning, on average, incoming freshmen, their very first semester at UMBC, because I do help out with incoming student orientation, so building that very first schedule you get at UMBC. A vast majority of our incoming students that are studying the biological sciences, they're taking pre-calculus usually as their first math class, but they are also taking algebra or Calculus 1. Some students are already past Calc 2 because they've brought in AP scores, advanced placement, or IB scores. So our students are everywhere, but we do work with you so that way that first semester is a smooth transition into UMBC math.
Wonderful. All right, so how does the honors program work?
So for the biology departmental honors, so this is a program specific to our department. There is also a separate university honors college, which is a separate admissions process, which maybe Lori can talk about after I'm done. But a lot of departments throughout UMBC do have their own separate honors program. In biology, that program requires you to have a specific GPA in your major courses of 3.25 on on a 4.0 scale. So that means doing really well in your biochemistry, math, statistics, and physics courses. You're also doing at least 3 semesters worth of independent research. So as Dr. Padmanabhan mentioned, getting in, if you're working with a UMBC faculty member, doing independent projects, they'll be working with you through a few semesters if you choose that route. Also, in addition to that, as you're doing that research, you're also writing what's called an honors thesis. So this is basically like you're writing a paper for publication. So you'll be working on that with your research mentor. There's also a few other requirements like attending seminars, so you get that experience of what biology is actually like. So when you actually go out into the field and study bio in the lab, what kind of papers are people writing? How do you do those techniques? That's what the bio honors is for. This is something that you can add to your resume if you do pursue this track for it. So it's something you add to your resume. It's a designation on your transcript. So if you're thinking professional school, graduate school, or just lab careers later on, you'll have that designation that you did something above and beyond what you needed to do at the undergraduate level.
And the general honors program is a little bit like that too. You can apply for the honors college at UMBC when you apply for admission. Simply check yes to the question on the application and answer the 2 short answer and 1 short essay question, and you'll be considered for the honors college at UMBC. You should do that if you want more academic challenge, if you want, if you're very interested in an interdisciplinary study. Through the honors college, you will be required to do some honors courses outside of your major area of study. You'll do 1 honors designated class each of your semesters at UMBC. And there is additional support, not so much additional scholarships, because those admitted to the honors college are already going to qualify for academic scholarships, but some additional opportunities and access to some of our most amazing faculty as well. That doesn't mean if you're not in the honors college you don't have that, but it's sort of thrust on you if you're in the honors college.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we just have a last two questions. I'm going to combine it all together. And from what I can understand, the student says, sir, is there any chance of getting inside your campus or organizing, or do you organize any competition? And what are the chances of getting in your university? We've already addressed the latter part of it a number of times during the session. I think what the student is interested in knowing is maybe the availability of certain campus visits for undergrad students. However, I'm not too sure how in the current times would that be permitted.
I have great news. I
Yeah.
have really, really good news. I'm just going to be honest with all of you, right? We weren't as good about delivering virtual opportunities to visit before March of this year. And we're getting better, faster, quicker every single day. So there are many opportunities for you to virtually visit us right now. If you go to undergraduate.umbc.edu and click on visit, you're going to see our welcome. This is what's happening during COVID-19, and you'll see many more opportunities to view the campus. And some of those are through the eyes of current students, which I think is most important. Many years ago, I went to UMBC, but you don't want an historical perspective. You want a now, a real 2020 perspective. And so please do take advantage of those and look for those, because more and better opportunities are coming fast. Certainly, we are going to reopen. We don't know when, but when we do, we would certainly, and when people can travel and visit, we would welcome, but you're going to see much more presence online and virtually in all of our areas. Currently, we do not host a competition as some other colleges and universities do, but stay tuned. When you go to umbc.edu, visit news, and we'll keep you up to date.
Great. With this, we've addressed all the questions that the students had. I'd again like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who took out time from their schedules to join us for today's webinar, all the students, parents, counselors, and definitely the team at UMBC. Thank you so much. We look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Stay safe and take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.